What's going on, everyone? So I am back today with Kylo Red, but the 2.0 version. The video I did on Kylo Red before is one of the most viewed videos on my entire channel, and you also just have loved Kylo deck techs that I've been putting out. So many of you have commented about it, and so I'm back with Kylo Red 2.0. It's one of my favorite leaders. I've had a ton of fun, and I've just been playing him just personally, randomly throughout my days because I just enjoy playing Kylo. So we're going to talk about him and what changes I made and some things that I found to be particularly useful throughout the, well, hundreds, honestly, of games I've played over the past month with Kylo. But before we do, I have a TCG play link in the description down below. Go ahead and use it if you want to pick up any of the cards I'm going to talk about today. This is actually a pretty budget-friendly list with the exception of silencers. Or if you want to pick up any cards in general in the entirety of Star Wars Unlimited, go ahead and use that link down below. But let's talk Kylo Ren. So for those of you that don't know what Kylo Ren does, he has an action to exhaust the leader, discard a card from your hand to give a unit +2/+0 for this phase. Now the discarding part does synergize with Silencer and Migs Mayfield. No other really options in the entirety of Star Wars Unlimited right now to synergize with Kylo Ren in terms of the discard aspect, but we don't really care. Even though those are awesome synergies and we are going to take advantage of them in this deck, what we really care about is just looking at our cards in our hand and thinking of every single one of those cards as a daring raid. That's what you want to look at them as. Discard a card, get some 2 damage in. That's what we care about. On the flip, he flips for 4 and he is a 5/4. Also, he gets -1/-0 for every card in your hand. So the idea is you want to be at least down to like 1 card by the time you flip Kylo Ren so that he can attack in for 4, oftentimes 5 damage if you have no cards in your hand. This makes him such a potent option for you because you can equip him with things like Fallen Lightsaber and you could just deal things like 8 damage with a Kylo Ren on his flip turn, which is sometimes enough, especially when you run up against 25 HP bases, to just kill your opponent. Now, the changes I made with 2.0 or Kylo Red 2.0 is 1, I've added a sideboard. 2, I have removed basically anything that has costed more than or 4 or more, with the exception of me adding in aggression. So the first thing I did is added a bunch more 1 resource play. So we've added in Ruthlessnesses. We were playing like 1 of them before. Now we're up to 3. We have the kind of 1-drops that you were enjoying. The Death Star Stormtrooper, one of our favorites, just 3-power 1-drop. We have the TIE Fighters, also really nice, comes into the space arena. Benthic 2 Tubes. We have so many aggression units. In fact, every single card in our deck is aggression with the exception of TIE Fighter. So that ends up really getting that on attack trigger in. Guavin Antagonizer is a new one, and I decided to play this just because the 2/3 body is pretty nice, and I actually prefer it over the Reckless Gunslinger in a lot of spots. Even though it has that bounty, the bounty usually helps us. Why? Because we're playing Chaos of War. So we actually want our opponent to kill this so that Chaos of War becomes better. And then Reckless Gunslingers, oftentimes you're going to resource this and smuggle it out later for a little bit of extra chip damage. In terms of our 2-drop slot, we've got ourselves the Partisan Insurgents. Full 3 of, we just always have an aggression unit on the battlefield. And if you don't, you're probably losing the game anyways. And so this is really just a 3-power, 2-resource play. Silencers, nice 3-power space unit, but also synergies with the discard effect where we could play it from our discard pile if we've discarded it. Bo-Katan, one of the reasons why we're playing double red. This will just be a really nice kind of battlefield marine effect, but then sometimes draws us a card when we care about it, right? When we're on like turn 4, turn 5, and we could draw into things like Daring Ray. Migs Mayfield, sometimes the most oppressive 2-resource play in our deck because we could just discard a card to deal an extra 2 to something, and this can really get in a ton of damage. Arm to the Teeth, nice little upgrade that pumps up both that unit and another unit, similar to Benthic 2 Tubes, +2/+0 when you attack. We got ourselves the 5th Brother and Punishing Ones as solid kind of 3-power resource, 3-resource plays. And then we have some events and upgrades. Some of the new ones, well, Fallen Lightsaber was a standard one. That was just so powerful. It's the best card in your whole deck for the most part. Putting on a Kylo makes him so hard to deal with. Chaos of War, I was a little bit lower on this one, but you kind of have to change the way you play it. And of course, playing Guavian Antagonizer actually has buffed up Chaos of War. And there's actually a lot of decks that are starting to stockpile cards in hand in the meta right now. So this oftentimes hits for 3 or 4, which is good enough. And then the new cards are realistically Precision Fire and Aggression. Every other card here we were playing before, except for Guavian Antagonizer, which I mentioned earlier, just changing the numbers a little bit. But we remove things like Hunting Nexu and Saw Gerrera, mainly because I found that if you're playing a 4-resource play and you're trying to attack with it the following turn, there's just so many better options in the deck, generally speaking. There are times when Saw Gerrera is amazing. There's times with Hunting Nexu is amazing, which we played with last time. But more often than not, Aggression and Precision Fire have been so excellent. Aggression can ready up one of our early units. Something with like a Partisan Insurgent is amazing with Aggression because you can actually discard a card to give Partisan Insurgent +2/+0, making it a 3-powered unit, but with raid 2, so that you can attack in for 5, ready it, and attack in for another 5. Defeating upgrades is relevant with like Frozen in Carbonite and Entrenched in the game. Drawing cards can be relevant in this stage of the game. Dealing some damage can help you save a unit. And then Precision Fire, I was starting to realize that we were just playing a ton of troopers. If you look, right, Death Star Stormtroopers is a trooper. Benthic 2 Tubes is a trooper. Guavian Antagonizer is a trooper. Partisan Insurgent is a trooper. Bo-Katan is a trooper. And then even using all those in combination with Precision Fire just gives you the option to sometimes bypass the, Sentinels that are out there, but also getting that +2 damage guaranteed rather than, again, acting like every single one of our cards is a daring raid. This is a daring raid, but it also guarantees the damage with the unit itself, which is important. So that's going to be kind of the new and improved. I want to mention the sideboard really quickly. A few things that I have moved to the sideboard or changed. Saw Gerrera's and Imperial Interceptors are now in the sideboard. There are matchups where your opponent's playing like Consortium Star Vipers and Imperial Interceptors really good against that. Or you're playing against a controlling deck or something that's using a lot of events like Pillages, which is pretty bad against you, generally speaking. Saw Gerrera comes in those matchups. And then we've added also Wolf and Disabling Fangfighter. Disabling Fangfighter is particularly good against the decks that are running Entrenched, Frozen, and Carbonite, but can also be used to kill things like Devotion or just upgrade-based decks. It could be a pretty solid answer too. And then Wolf. There are a lot of restoring decks out there that just have like Yodas and Sundari Peacekeepers, and Wolf coming in as a way to just prevent that healing is essentially a 2-resource like for a cost, right? Because there are some times when your opponent has like Restore 2 on 2 different units, and you just play Wolf. Don't even care about the body. You're just preventing them from healing 4, which essentially dealt 4 to your opponent's base, which is crazy. So that's going to be the sideboard. Really, really consistent. As you see, one of the biggest changes was that I wanted the deck to be as consistent as possible. So basically 3 ofs and a couple of 2 ofs across the board, which really makes it so that we are going with our game plan every single game. But you need to be very aggressive with this deck, and you need to really accept that you're going to be losing units left and right, and you don't really care about that. You just want to make sure you can kill your opponent. Even if it's barely getting there, it's getting there. So without further ado, let's dive into some games. I'm sure these are going to be quick. We're probably going to be losing fast and winning fast, and that's the way we like it. Let's get into some games. On to our first matchup against Hunter Yellow. Now, I'm not sure what to expect in this matchup, but this seems like a reasonable hand. I'm not going to mulligan. I have the initiative, which means Miggs Mayfeld is far better. We could resource the Arm to the Teeth and the Punishing One, and we can go Miggs Mayfeld turn 1. Next turn, we can discard the Silencer to guarantee that 2 damage off of Miggs Mayfeld, and then we can go ahead and play it, and then play the TIE Fighter, which is going to be excellent. Depending on what they play here, well, we'll see what they've got. Ooh, Omega is pretty mediocre, because we get to claim initiative, and, Precision Fire, not really looking amazing here because we have no troopers out, but Aggression could potentially be good. The way this is going to work is we get to discard the Silencer, kill their Omega, hit in for 4, and then play both the Silencer and the TIE Fighter, which is going to be excellent. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to discard the Silencer, give this +2 power, kill their Omega, and then let's see what they've got to follow up the play. Okay, so they've got themselves a Echo-based Defender. We're just going to go ahead and trade into that. There isn't really a reason to stick around too long. Bunch of cards in hand. We got ourselves the Fifth Brother. We got Bo-Katan. Lots of expensive cards in hand, to be honest. That's not exactly what you're looking for. Wow, that is a very, very big Echo. Let's just go ahead and attack in with the... I think we actually ought to discard a card here, The question is, what do we want to discard? We could pump up Kylo Ren to be a 7 toughness unit, which means the Echo can't kill it. So I think what we do is we discard the 5th brother, pump up the TIE fighter. We could even use aggression to defeat 2 upgrades on the Echo and then deal 4 to Echo, which could be guarantee keeping Kylo alive. You know what? I think actually we play aggression, we deal damage, and then we ready a unit. So we deal 4 to Echo, and then ready a unit, which gives us an extra attack in with Silencer, hit with Silencer, hit with Kylo, and then Tarkin down the Echo. This gets in the most damage, with the exception of, well, you know, not like putting a Fallen Lightsaber on Kylo, but we can do that a little bit later. And it looks like they just straight up conceded, trying to play some clones and stuff going on. We would have probably resourced one of these Fallen Lightsabers so we can go TIE Fighter, Fallen Lightsaber, and then we would have gotten in for a lot of damage. Not to say that we were going to win, because they could have had like a Marauder here, which would have been really nice for them. But that still would have been tough for them, because we would have gotten in, right? We would have played TIE Fighter, attack, well, we would have attacked for 2, so they had 16. We would have played TIE Fighter, would have played Fallen Lightsaber. This would have been a 7 powered unit. And then we would have gotten in for another 7, which would have put them at 23. So they were pretty close to dead. That was a fast game. On to the next. Into our next matchup against Boba Blue. Now, this could go a couple different ways as far as I see Boba Blue. Usually it's a little bit more controlling with Entrench, Frozen in Carbonite, takedowns, making openings, that type of stuff. Which can be a little bit tricky. And this hand is definitely not going to do it for us. Let's go to Mulligan. Try to find a hand with a couple of 1-drops. We did, but unfortunately, it's the combination of 1-drops that I am not exactly fond of. The TIE Fighter Benthic is one of our weaker kind of couple of plays. Chaos of War is usually reasonable in this matchup. This can often hit for 3 to 4 damage because they have cards that do draw them additional cards. We're going to go ahead and resource most likely this TIE Fighter and this Arm to the Teeth and just start off with a Bo-Katan. See what they've got. Bazine Natal. Sure. They get to take, I don't know what they're going to take. They're going to take all sorts of stuff. Probably just the Bo-Katan is what I would take. And then we can go Benthic 2 tubes. Not exactly sure what's taking so long for our opponent. I think this is a pretty straightforward Bo-Katan. They took the punishing one, huh? Okay. Well, we're going to play a Bo-Katan. Let's pass. Draw ourselves a bunch of options. Partisan Insurgent could be nice here. We could play that plus a 1-drop. Most likely the Benthic 2 tubes. So I think I'll just resource either Bo-Katan or the Death Star Stormtrooper. I think I just want to resource the Bo-Katan. Keep our hand nice and cheap. Waylay. Sure. Let's go ahead and play out the Partisan Insurgent. And the Benthic 2 tubes. Waylay delaying us a little bit, but that's okay. Partisan Insurgent part 1,000,000. We can hit them a lot with this Chaos of War, but I think I just want to resource one of the Partisan Insurgents and just go like 2-drop, 1-drop, 1-drop. We'll see though. Let's see what they've got to start us off. Now remember, Benthic 2 tubes can pump Kylo Ren, which is one of the reasons why he's so powerful in this deck, because you're able to play such an early leader that Benthic 2 tubes usually has a target. Opponent's doing a nice job of controlling. We haven't done any damage to them. Right, Waylay is pretty nice in terms of just preventing us from dealing any damage. Lieutenant Childson. Childson's usually not that scary. Why? Because, let's see, they have Super Laser Blast and Power of the Dark Side. Wow, okay. Yeah, we get to do a lot of work here. Let's go Bo-Katan. Let's see what our opponent does. They don't really have many options. They're just going to hit our base. Sure. Guavian Antagonizer, Death Star Stormtrooper. Let's discard a card. We're going to discard this Chaos to pump the Partisan Insurgent. We're going to attack into the Child Sin and give Partisan Insurgent raid 2. We're going to Tarkin Town the Child Sin. We're going to flip Kylo, attack in for 7, and then hit their base for another 5. So one of the most powerful things about Tarkin Town is that things like Child Sin are basically killer units, right? That's kind of what Child Sin does. And in that case, it killed Benthic 2 tubes, but it also is able to get in a couple of points of damage. And actually, we're kind of blocking our Kylo Ren, huh? Let's move ourselves over here. We're at 4 resources. I'm not gonna resource. I might have to jump back and forth in this video just because of how many units we're actually deploying. But yeah, it is pretty nuts. But it's taken some time to figure out what to resource. We know that they have a Super Laser Blast, which is irrelevant in this matchup. Power of the Dark Side, that's fine. Doesn't really do a whole lot. In fact, most likely if they play that, we're probably just sacrificing our Guavian Antagonizer, because them drawing a card is going to make things like Chaos of War better. Remember, we have an Arm to the Teeth in the resource pile, which does get in for 4 damage if we're able to get an attack in with the unit and pump up another unit. But I think just not resourcing anything, because both Ruthlessness and Fallen Lightsaber are quite solid draws, so I'm happy with it. Power of the Dark Side, you can take my Guavian Antagonizer. Let's just start off by attacking with the Death Star Stormtrooper, so that they can't kill it off with Bazine at all. So just guarantee that damage. And again, we don't really care about them killing off our units. Like, or even them playing units. We're just trying to... Oh, they have another Bazine at all. Sure. We're just probably going to Arm to the Teeth them then. Arm to the Teeth on Kylo. Let's go ahead and attack in, pump up the Partisan Insurgent. And now, if they would like to, they can kill the Partisan Insurgent, which they probably should. And then we're just going to get into their base for another 3. They probably should have kept around the other Bazine at all, so they could have killed the Death Star Stormtrooper. I decided to Arm to the Teeth because them taking Fallen Lightsaber. They decided to claim initiative here, so no way to use their additional resources. Seems reasonable to me. Here, I'm going to resource something because we want to be able to play all of our cards in hand. They're almost certainly going to take out my Kylo Ren here. We could have like a make an opening or something like that, which could be nice. Let's see. They're going to kill Kylo, most likely. I mean, they could kill like one of our 3-powered units, but that seems very, very weak to me. What do you got, opponent? Let's see what you got. Vigilance is a good one. They can kill Bo-Katan and heal. Put a shield token on Boba if they want. Heal, of course. Oops. And they gained 5. And they killed off a Bo-Katan. That is totally fine. We're just going to attack in with Kylo, pump up the Death Star Stormtrooper. And now they have a choice. If they want to kill the Death Star Stormtrooper, we're just going to go ahead and play a Silencer. And now if they want to kill Kylo, they're going to have to get rid of their Boba. Let's go ahead and play a 5th brother. And now remember, we can trade any one of these cards in for additional damage. Let's pass. Death Star Stormtrooper. Don't really need to resource anything, huh? All of our cards are extremely cheap. I'll move myself back over now that we've gone through that turn where we had 1,000,000 units on the battlefield. Another Vigilance for them could swing the game back in their favor. They haven't made too many plays, but of course, Vigilance is extremely strong. And Boba Leader itself just makes this matchup, or the control matchup, a lot easier for the control player, because Boba comes down so early and is able to make a couple of profitable trades, generally speaking. But it's really deciding here. Maybe they have another Vigilance. We know that they had a Super Laser Blast, so they could potentially play that next turn. Evacuate, huh? Okay. Well, they drew the Evacuate. which ends up being pretty nice for them. We're just going to go with our literal same play. They're going to super laser blast us next turn, so we're going to play out 2 units. We've drawn a lot of our upgrades, which isn't particularly amazing. We want to be drawing a bunch of units at this point in the game. I'm going to go and resource one of these ruthlessness. Let's see what they decide to do. Of course, if they don't super laser blast, then I'm going to attack in with Fifth Brother. But there's a good chance they'll just super laser blast here. See what they've got. There's a super laser blast. That's Death Star Stormtrooper. They're going to take initiative, TIE Fighter, daring raid, and then pass. Aggression, a little bit weak here, to be honest. Don't really care too much about dealing forward anything. They could have like an Avenger here. If they do, then they just lose, because we can defeat something that we don't care about and then just pump up our unit. Another Vigilance here would put them in a good spot, I would say. The Vigilances are really the cards that we're scared about. Evacuating coming down as well, 2 turns earlier, if they want to, ends up being pretty nice as well. That's a Fett's Fire Spray. All right, well, we're going to get in for 2 here. And now, I mean, they can choose to exhaust this Death Star Stormtrooper, but if they do, then we'll claim initiative. We could also just aggression to re-ready it. So Fett's Fire Spray, really not all that scary in this spot. I guess they're running out of answers here. And we won. All right, so we got there. A little bit of a longer game, kind of longer than I expected. Don't even know how long we actually played that game. Didn't actually get our Chaos of Wars a little bit later on. I think we ended up just discarding it. But it would have been nice, to get in for 3 to 4 damage. Really, the key turn there for them was the fact that they had the Evacuate when they did, which was like 1 turn earlier than the Super Laser Blast, which is nice, right? Or at least 2 turns earlier, but in that case, it was 1 turn earlier. They also drew the Vigilance. But Boba Fett in the control decks, Boba Blue is the one we're most scared of, mainly because Boba Fett just comes down earlier than all the other control decks. Like Iden, yes, it heals, but Boba killed 2 units there, as you saw, which is really, really strong. So nice matchup. Longer game, but we got there. And close from our opponent. Into our next matchup, we got ourselves a match against the Palp Yellow deck. This is a pretty weak hand as well. We drew kind of our lackluster 1 resource plays. I think we can mulligan into hopefully a better couple of cards. Yeah, I mean, this isn't amazing. Like, don't get me wrong, this is not amazing, but it's fine. Double Ruthlessness can get us in a lot of damage. Remember, this doesn't have to be placed on a ground unit. Precision Fire, I think, can be resourced here since this has Saboteur anyways. And I think, actually, I just want to get rid of this aggression and just have a lot of kind of the 1 resource plays here available to me. They're going to play a Yularen. We're going to go TIE Fighter. We're going to play a Guavian Antagonizer and pass. Here, I'm just going to resource one of the Ruthlessness. I'd rather play the units. Guarantee ourselves some additional plays here. See, they're going to attack my Antagonizer. All right, let's just get in for 2 here. And see what they end up playing. They played a Super Laser Technician. Okay, in that case, let's Ruthlessness the TIE Fighter. This is going to guarantee us additional 2 damage. Let's Tarkin Town the Yularen. Let's attack in for 4. Let's play a TIE Fighter and a Death Star Stormtrooper and then pass. Ended up drawing ourselves the Fallen Lightsaber, which is an excellent draw. Now, they can destroy their Super Laser to kill my TIE Fighter, which is a totally reasonable play. But if they do that, then they also didn't get to kill my Guavian Antagonizer. So it doesn't really matter what they decide to do here. Like, regardless, we are going to be getting in for damage. Cloud Rider was really nice for them. That's obviously an important play that they should be making. Let's deploy our Kylo. Let's go ahead and put Fallen Lightsaber on Kylo and then attack in for approximately 1 million. And Chaos of War is really nice here. They probably are just going to attack into the Guavian Antagonizer with a Salacious Crumb. Actually, they can just bounce it to hand, which ends up doing some really nice work for us because Chaos of War is going to hit them for 6. As I said, Chaos of War can be pretty devastating in some matchups. And we're just going to straight up do that because 1, it allows Kylo Ren to attack for 1 additional. 2, we know they have a Salacious Crumb in hand, which means that they can play something afterwards. And then 3, if we attack with Kylo Ren first or TIE Fighter first, the Chaos of War might end up doing a little bit less damage. So right now we have Lethal on board. They can play Crumb. If they do, they're going to heal 1. And then we're going to attack in with a TIE Fighter because then they can defeat the Crumb to kill my TIE Fighter. So you want to attack with TIE Fighter first to guarantee lethal. And that's what they're doing. We attack in with Kylo Ren. And that's going to be GG. So pretty amazing. That was the real Fallen Lightsaber type kill. They even had a pretty nice, a couple of draws. They had the Yularen and the Cloud Rider. But we just kind of outpaced them, right? We just got our Fallen Lightsaber on Kylo Ren and kind of finished the deal, which is kind of nice. Chaos of War also 6 damage with that thing. That was crazy. On to the next. Into our next matchup against Cad Bane Red. And I don't like this hand too much. I like the Bo-Katans, but I'm looking for a higher value 3-drop. Oh, not GG. Hi. Our opponent is saying hi. Things like Death Star Stormtrooper could be a little bit tricky because Cad Bane can always, deal a damage to it, which could be a little rough. I don't like Daring Raid too much in this matchup because we do have that Ruthlessness, which we can put on ships, by the way. That's usually one of the best ways to use it. On a punishing one, it's usually excellent. But Bo-Katan on turn 1. Ooh, they're going to probably take my Bo-Katan on turn 1, which is okay. We'll see what they end up doing, to be honest. They could take the punishing one as well. This is a matchup where Bazine Natal on turn 1 or like disrupting my early plays can be relevant for sure. So we can play the TIE Fighter, but the problem with that is that it will just die to Cad Bane if they just play anything. So I'm just going to take initiative and we'll see where we end up going from here. I think we could probably resource this TIE Fighter, and I'm just going to go ahead and deploy my probably Partisan Insurgent and Benthic 2 tubes. Just get a couple cards down on the battlefield. And they could play, maybe like a Cloud Rider, which would be a way to get some value done for sure. I ended up attacking in with Bazine first, which is a little bit surprising. I probably would have played something out just in case my opponent did something like this, which is play like a Benthic 2 tubes, which is a card that really allows us to get a lot of damage in. Next turn, we can always resource one of these 3-drops. We could discard one to Kylo Ren to get another card out of our hand to pump up the leader. We'll see. Looks like our opponent's really thinking about what they want to do here. They're playing a Pirated Starfighter. All right, we'll have them deal damage to the Partisan Insurgent. They're going to return the Bazine to their hand. We're going to claim initiative. Pretty straightforward stuff. And then the Chaos of War is actually going to be an excellent option for us here. Really, really not that scared of a Pirated Starfighter here. Lady Proxima, huh? Also not really that scary. Migs Mayfeld can be really quite nice. I can go Migs Mayfeld. No, I think the plan here is to go Chaos of War, Ruthlessness, discard this punishing one. Let's just start off with Chaos of War so we can guarantee the 4 damage with the Chaos of War. They could have like a 4-lom, which could make this, a decent amount worse. Ooh, Pillage, huh? Well, Pillage is really not that scary at all. I'm not exactly that scared of that one. Let's go Ruthlessness on the Partisan Insurgent. I could kill their Lady Proxima and get the 2 damage in for essentially free, but there really is like no reason to do that. I'd rather just get in the 5 damage. So get in 5 damage or 7 damage there, and get in for 5. What I meant by that is I would have lost 5 damage. Like I still would have gotten in for a little bit of damage, but I would have lost the 5 damage if I hit the Lady Proxima because I still would have hit them for 2. No need to resource anything here. We'll just end up playing it out. Pillage, not that scary in this matchup. We actually ended up getting a bonus damage on Kylo Ren because we went with exactly what we were going to do. Now, we ended up losing 2 damage if we wanted to discard with Kylo Ren, but overall, that would have netted us 1 additional damage. It could end up, changing the way this turn goes, but they're going to have something pretty good because they can't flip Cad Bane yet, which is a huge downside. So they're going to have, like a 4-lom here to really impact the board. And even if they do so, we still get in for a lot of damage with this Benthic 2 tubes plus Partisan Insurgent combo. But like 4-lom killing the Kylo Ren wouldn't be that scary. Criminal Muscle. Sure, we will deal damage to the Partisan Insurgent. Are they going to return Ruthlessness to my hand? If they do, that's totally fine. I mean, we can replay it. Let's attack with Benthic 2 tubes, pump up the Partisan Insurgent. I'm not going to pump up Kylo Ren because that's going to be the card that they're looking to kill. Mach Clunky, they're going to return the Criminal Muscle back to their hand, huh? Okay. That's fine. Probably kill the Partisan Insurgent. Play Death Star Stormtrooper. Not going to play the Ruthlessness yet because we know it can be bounced. Okay, they're playing another Bazine Natal. That could actually end up working in our favor if we hit Punishing One was a good hit. Let's just play a Punishing One. Yeah, that actually ends up working out pretty nicely for us. They could attack it, but I mean, we have Tarkin Town, so that's like pretty easy Tarkin Town. Okay, let's hit their base for 4. Pretty straightforward. And I mean, we are in a good spot here. They can play the Criminal Muscle, which would be kind of whatever. Here, I'm not going to resource anything. This is the turn that we kind of just have to win the game. I suppose I could resource the Guavian Antagonizer. If they pillage us, we probably win. So that's probably safe to do so. Now that I think about it. I was thinking if we could play around pillage, but if they pillage us, like, we just win. So I'm not scared of pillage at all. Let's see, they're attacking our base. Okay. Let's just get in with the Death Star Stormtrooper. And now this is lethal. This is lethal. Benthic 2 tubes plus Ruthless, Fallen Lightsaber. I mean, we have so many lethal threats, but that's going to be GG. I'm a little bit surprised our opponent didn't hit our Punishing One. I mean, I guess they knew we can target town it, so it's like whatever. But also, them not hitting the Death Star Stormtrooper immediately was a little bit weird. I guess they thought they were dead and they just had to rush down the base if they could. Interesting little Cad Bane red deck. I always like Cad Bane. I think that archetype could do some major work. So I'm curious about what they got going on in their list, but pretty straightforward stuff. We ended up getting there, and on to the next. On to the next game against Moff Gideon Blue. Now this is actually a really, really solid hand because we used to go Partisan Insurgent, discard the Silencer to pump the Partisan Insurgent on turn 2, and then play the Partisan Insurgent, which is going to be, or attack with the Partisan Insurgent, which is going to be awesome. Now, what could they have here that could be a little bit bad for us? I mean, we could Daring Raid the Incinerator Trooper if we wanted to play it safe. What could they do? They could go like Imperial Snow Trooper Lieutenant to kill off. Yeah, I think we just Daring Raid, because if they're playing Incinerator Trooper, they probably have some sort of something to kill the Partisan Insurgent. So I kind of like doing that. Let's go ahead and discard this Silencer, pump up the Partisan Insurgent, and then we'll replay the Silencer, and then attack in for 5, and then pass. Migs Mayfeld could be a really nice card here. Chaos of War could be interesting. We could ready up this Partisan Insurgent potentially. If we do that with Aggression, then we're probably not getting in for that much damage. So I don't know if I like that too much, but I kind of like keeping Aggression in my hand. I think this turn I want to go Chaos of War plus Death Star Stormtrooper. I think that's going to be what I'm most interested in. It gets our hand to the lowest amount of cards, and we're going to be able to do quite a bit of damage with that kind of combination. We could even discard the Aggression to like a Partisan Insurgent to get in some more damage, which is very, very possible that we want to do. I'm curious what they have here. Again, I played around this Incinerator Trooper because I figured they could have something like a Snow Trooper Lieutenant, and they could still have that, and they trade Super Laser for the Partisan Insurgent. They're going to hit our base. Okay, we're going to Chaos of War then, just to make sure we get in that damage. I'm surprised that they didn't want to kill their Super Laser Technician. Oh, they're passing, huh? All right, we'll attack for 3. We'll attack for another 3. Play a Death Star Stormtrooper. And if they pass again, we're going to claim initiative because they clearly have some way to deal with my Kylo Ren. So there isn't really a reason to put us in a position where they can get that value going. Attack in for 3. Just get in all the damage that we can. I'm imagining they have something like an escort skiff. That would make sense as to why they wouldn't want to kill off their Super Laser Technician, because they have escort skiff in their hand to kill my Kylo Ren, which would make sense as to what or why they did what they did. They're going to play a Discerning Veteran, huh? Interesting. I will attack in with Kylo Silencer, and now we can deal 4 to the Discerning Veteran and ready up a Silencer if we want to do so. They have the Gideon Deploy, which will end up... let's see, actually. Yeah, we're going to deal 4 and ready a unit. Ready, deal 4. Get back the Partisan Insurgent. Attack in for 3. Now, again, if they pass, we will claim initiative. Okay, they are not going to do that. We're going to deploy Kylo, and we're going to hit in for 4. Because, again, their Moff Gideon kills our Kylo Ren in combat straight up. Okay, nice couple of draws here. Remember, we have the Reckless Gunslingers in our resource pile to come out a little bit later. I could have done it on that turn that they kept passing in preparation for Kylo. I guess I couldn't because I had no more resources, but I could have done that instead of playing something. On this turn, we have Daring Ray, which kills them, so they are going to have something really, really good in order for them to actually survive through this turn. And it looks like they disconnected. Okay. I guess they didn't have an answer. Pretty fair. Moff Gideon Blue is not necessarily meta deck, so on to the next. Into our next matchup. Now, Kira Green can be a little bit scary for this deck, to be honest, because of the fact that we oftentimes are going to be able to just get traded with because of their shield tokens. As such, I am tempted to play a Migs Mayfeld here turn 1. Resource this aggression for sure. And then probably resource this Bo-Katan. Keep the hand kind of cheap. If they have anything on turn 1 that any Kira deck usually plays, like Scout Bike Pursuer, or, well, there's a Scout Bike Pursuer, or a Hylobon Enforcer, I really, really am in a decent amount of trouble. Here, let's go ahead and discard a card. Deal 2 to the Scout Bike. And then let's Tarkin Town it away. This seems a little aggressive, but it is going to be pretty important for us to keep the board relatively clear in the earlier turns in terms of cards. Not trading our units for it, but in terms of cards that they have, because we don't want them putting a bunch of shield tokens on everything. Let's see what they've got here. Of course, the best case scenario would be for me to... oh man, I don't like this. We have to discard the Silencer to pump and hit the oh wait, whoops. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to hit the base, because we're going to have to trade with the Phase 3 Dark Trooper in this spot. And then we could put a Fallen Lightsaber on here, but that's like really aggressive. And then we can follow up by using both of our resources, play both of our 1 resource plays here. Guavian Antagonizer is a little bit weak. I think I prefer the Benthic 2 tubes in this spot. And of course, Fallen Lightsaber is going to be excellent. That is one of the best cards in our entire deck. Kira comes down pretty soon. The reason why we didn't have to hit the Dark Trooper is because they couldn't put a shield token on it since they didn't need the extra resource. Star Viper, huh? Okay. Let's attack in with the Death Star Stormtrooper to start us off. It might be that we want to kill the Consortium Star Viper. They could put a shield token on it. But I think that the way this game is going to work out is we probably just don't care about the Star Viper, because this is going to deal 3. It's going to restore 2 back. And we're going to get a ton of damage with this Fallen Lightsaber. Get in for 3, get in for 8, and then we pass. And now we are in a pretty nice spot. I think that I don't need a resource here. And then they're probably going to kill my silencer. So almost certainly what the plan will be. Trying to think of what they could have on 5 resources that makes us a little bit scared. Like, they could have an overwhelming barrage, which would wipe out our entire board except for Kylo Ren, which is pretty good. And then they can deploy Kira, which could kill our entire board as well. So that would be a little bit scary. I'm going to attack with Benthic 2 tubes first. Because this gets in for essentially 4 damage, where this gets in for 3. If they have an ECL something to kill my Kylo Ren, then that would be pretty rough. There's a good chance that they don't have anything. And now we just end up killing them because we have enough damage with the Kylo Ren. So that didn't really work out for them. Again, attacking with the Benthic 2 tubes ended up working out very nicely. They can deploy Kira, but I mean, they just die here because we have that +2 damage from Benthic 2 tubes. And yeah, look at that. That was a turn 4 kill against Kira Green. They had a pretty nice hand. The Phase 3 Dark Trooper is excellent. You know, this type of card is going to prevent us from doing a lot of damage. The Star Viper is also a card that's really scary. ECLing out Gideon is one of their better ECL targets. But they need to have a little bit more pressure inside the game. I think one thing that they could have done was, instead of killing my silencer, is ready up a Kira. Although I don't think that would have worked out too well for them, because I would have attacked in with Kylo Ren anyways, and they probably would have died regardless. But let's think about that. If they ready up Kira immediately, then they deal damage to Kylo Ren, and I have to make a choice. I can attack with Kylo Ren, or I can attack with the TIE Fighter, or the silencer. But I have to attack with Kylo Ren, because then they can just trade Kira for Kylo. So I'm missing out on a ton of damage. So then they can kill my silencer with Star Viper still, get the Restore 2. And then I just attack in with Benthic 2 tubes, and whatever I pump, whether it's the, I think that we had a Stormtrooper. Like, if we had another Stormtrooper here, then they can ECL out Gideon onto the Stormtrooper, which means that we wouldn't have gotten in for as much damage. We would have missed out on, what was that? We played 2 units. We wouldn't have been able to play 2 units plus the 2. So they would have technically lived, although I think they still would have just lost on the following turn. So it's not like it changed too much. But just something to consider. Anyways, on to the next. Into our next matchup against Luke Green. Now, this is a hand where I am actually pretty excited. I'm going to go ahead and resource this silencer and this aggression here. They're going to go with a Maz Kanata. We are going to play a Partisan Insurgent. They're going to pump up their Maz Kanata. We're going to pass, and let's see what they end up having. Migs Mayfeld is pretty good. So is Death Star Stormtrooper, but I think we just want to resource the Death Star Stormtrooper. And we're just going to go ahead and play out a 5th brother. And we're going to hope to try to put a Fallen Lightsaber on it. Maybe bolt, maybe 2. Maybe 2 Fallen Lightsabers. They're going to resupply. Okay, let's just go ahead and discard a card to pump up the Partisan Insurgent. We're just going to try to get in as much damage as we can. Get in for 5. They're going to claim initiative. We're going to pass. Chaos of War could potentially be pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and resource one of these, what is it? The Bo-Katans. ECL's coming out. Rose Tico, huh? Okay, they can defeat a shield token to kill one of our units, which would be pretty nice for them, no doubt. All right. Yeah. They're going to get some value going here. Let's go ahead and discard the Chaos of War to pump up the Partisan Insurgent. Put a shield token on Rose. I like it. Let's go ahead and Kylo is a 3 power unit. We want to get down Kylo first because it's going to give us an extra couple of damage on the Partisan Insurgent. Fallen Lightsaber over on Kylo. And then they're going to hit our base with R2. Seems okay to me. Attack in for 7. Attack in for 5. And then we could target down something. I don't even think that's necessary in this spot. Gonna get rid of this benthic 2 tubes. Not really gonna do a whole lot for us in this spot in the game. They're gonna hit Kylo Ren with the Rose Tico. We are going to put a Fallen Lightsaber on Kylo. And we can also put a Ruthlessness on it. We're doing this because, yeah, they had to have had something pretty useful, but Vigilance here doesn't actually do anything. They can't defeat anything because it's 3 or less HP. They have to put like a shield token on something, but shield token doesn't work. Milling does nothing, so Vigilance here does really nothing. I'm very, very happy that we ended up going with the double Fallen Lightsaber. Not that I was predicting a like a Vigilance or anything, but attack, deal 2 to everything, and now Partisan Insurgent finishes it off. But if we had gone with attack with Kylo, he would have been on enough to defeat it with the Vigilance, and then they would have healed to the point where we probably would have lost the game. So the double Fallen Lightsaber is important, and the reason why I went with that instead of something else is because they attack with Rose Tico. If they had like played an Obi-Wan, for example, I probably still would have gone with the Fallen Lightsaber, but like it's a completely different scenario when they attack with Rose Tico first. Maybe they're just planning on attacking with Maz Kanata afterwards, which is also fair. Fallen Lightsaber is also pretty good there. But Vigilance is the way we would have lost that game. It was pretty close, to be honest. We were about like 1 action away from potentially losing that game. But Fallen Lightsaber is the best card in our deck. I've said this many, many, many times. And there's the reason why. It's the reason we get turn 3 kills sometimes, and it's the reason why we won this game. On to the next. Into our next matchup, we got ourselves a pretty nice one against Cad Bane Green. Now, this matchup is pretty tough. We don't really want to be playing any sort of card that's going to allow them to deal 2 damage to some, or deal damage to it and kill it. So Death Star Stormtroopers, things like that are really weak. Partisan Insurgent on turn 1's pretty nice, though. They could go like Cloud Rider to kill it, which does happen. There you go. There's the Cloud Rider. But that's really one of the only ways that they actually can kill it. So they had to have had like exactly a Cloud Rider. Fallen Lightsaber's a nice draw. Resource for the Silencers. Let's play a 5th brother. And let's see where it ends up taking us. Could discard a card. They're playing a Dr. Evazan. Dr. Evazan is extremely scary for this deck. Yep. They have one of the best draws that they could have had. Which is, kind of just killing all of our units as they go up the curve with this nice combination. But that's kind of how the name of the game works. Let's go ahead and benthic 2 tubes here. Let's see what they've got. They obviously have a Dr. Evazan. Oh, they have a Forlom. Okay. Yeah, Forlom is pretty nice here. They're just killing all of our units. But we get to go ahead and discard this Chaos of War. They get to pump the Forlom. We'll Tarkin Town it. We're going to flip, put a Fallen Lightsaber on this guy. We're going to hit, and then we're going to Tarkin Town away the Forlom. And then we're just going to hope. We're just going to hope that Kylo Ren is enough to get there. It might not be. It might be. We'll see. We will see. Here, I'm probably going to resource this Arms of the Teeth, mainly because we can't make all 3 of these plays. But if I'm going to go with Daring Raid, then I'm going to play an Arms of the Teeth anyways. And wait, did they claim initiative? They claimed initiative. Interesting. Okay, that was a little bit unexpected. What I was going to say is I was going to play Arm to the Teeth, so I may as well resource it, because playing it for 2 and then having playing the Daring Raid and then resourcing the Silencer doesn't really make sense. This way I get to keep the Silencer in hand. and I guess they disconnected because I guess we were gonna win. They had a really nice start in this game, and as I said, Cad Bane's a really tough matchup. They had to have Cloud Raider on turn 1. That was the way to kill Partisan Insurgent. They had Dr. Evazon, which is a really scary card for us because we can't leverage the bounty. Mach Clunky to kill something. They basically had a bunch of 1 resource to 2 resource kill spells. I said this was going to be the last matchup, but that was a really quick game, and I may as well just move on to the next. And it looks like we got ourselves a fun one to finish it off. We got Hondo Blue. I'm going to go to Mulligan. Didn't really have that great of a hand. Mix Mayfeld is pretty nice here. I do like that one. I do like Bo-Katan. I think I'm going to resource this TIE Fighter and Arm to the Teeth. And I think I'm going to start off with Mix Mayfeld because I think it's going to be pretty unlikely that they're going to have an amazing way to really deal with Migs Mayfeld here at this point in the game. Okay, let's go ahead and start us off with Bo-Katan. Don't know if they really have any great ways to deal with what we got going on. Okay. Let's go ahead and Benthic 2 tubes, and we're just going to Tarkin Town away this Pike Sentinel. Top target is interesting, but not really going to do anything in this spot. Fallen Lightsaber being our last card in hand is excellent. That is kind of what we're looking for exactly. That's a Child Sin. Okay. Yeah, not exactly that scared here. We can discard the TIE Fighter, give the Migs Mayfeld +2 power, deal 2 to the Child Sin, attack with a Benthic 2 tubes, pump the Bo-Katan, flip Kylo, Fallen Lightsaber, attack, attack, attack for approximately 1 million, and now we are in an amazing spot. Don't need to resource anything because if they get rid of Migs Mayfeld, they're going to heal, and we can just replay it. Precision Fire can get through any Sentinels with Bo-Katan, and just get in for 2 additional damage, so I do like that. And of course, Fallen Lightsaber and Kylo Ren makes this really, really strong. Top target, not exactly that scared of that one. They had a couple Sentinels, and what did they even reveal? I didn't actually pay attention to that. Overwhelming Barrage, huh? Okay, they can kill Migs Mayfeld. Not too scary. So what do they have here? Avenger, Lieutenant Childson. Okay, there's another Migs Mayfeld. There's a precision fire on Bo-Katan, and then we're gonna get in for 8 here, and that's another Migs Mayfeld, which isn't gonna really do it. Actually, now that I think about it, we probably should just gone Arm to the Teeth here to finish out the game. Probably would have been a little bit better. Okay, well, we just kill the Childson. Not really. Oh, we could have just daring raided. Wow, what am I doing here in the last game, guys? we made a couple of misplays, I think, in that last game. I think we could have armed the Teeth. It would have been a little bit less damage because we wouldn't have played the cards in our hand with Kylo, but we would have gotten in for additional 2 with Bo-Katan or whoever, you know, we attacked with after Kylo Ren. So I think that would have been just enough to finish out the game. Maybe we would have been too short again because no, we would have pumped up because we pumped up Kylo by 2 by playing the units, and then we would have pumped it by 2 with Arm to the Teeth, and we would have gotten 2 damage for the Bo-Katan. So I think Arm to the Teeth would have been the proper play there. And of course, we had Daring Raid in hand here, so I should have just Daring Raided him. There's no reason for me to attack. Anyways, that was Kylo Red, guys. Let's talk about the final thoughts of the deck and wrap this video up. All right, so what did we learn from Kylo Red? Well, it is still an absolute powerhouse of a deck. It really does end games quickly, but there are times where the game goes a little bit longer, you know, into turn 5s, turn 6s, your opponent's just killing all your units off. You have a lot of ways to essentially trade units because of the discard ability from Kylo Ren. But the whole goal is to end the game quickly. Now, we ended up winning a lot of our games here, but there are times when the deck just feels awful. I don't know if we end up going against a Boba Yellow deck today, mainly because, well, there are a lot of people playing on Karabas, and a lot of them are trying to figure out ways to defeat Boba Yellow right now. If we're fighting against Boba Yellow, this is a perfect example of a deck that's going to absolutely wreck us. This is a matchup that's terrible for us, so don't expect this deck to be absolutely the best deck in the format. Its fatal flaw is that some of the meta decks are really good against Kylo Red. Things like, well, Rey is oftentimes really good against Kylo because of all the restores. The Boba Yellow decks are really good because not only do they get to play to the board, have a 30 HP base, but they also get to leverage the fact that they also get to play multiple cards in a turn, but they don't actually have to play cards from their hand or play cheap cards. They just get to leverage additional resources from Boba Fett. And Boba Fett is just an insane leader. I think we played against that Boba Blue deck earlier, and you saw kind of how close that game was. We were barely getting there against that Boba Blue deck, and that's because of how powerful Boba Fett is. So those are some downsides of the deck, but overall, this new version of Kylo Red, I prefer significantly more. As I mentioned, we're replacing things like Saw Gerrera, hunting Nexu in the 4-drop slot mainly. That's the main change. And instead of playing those in the 4-drop slot, we're playing Aggression, which immediately plays to the board and potentially readies up some more power for us. Some things that remain the same: Fallen Lightsaber, still the absolute best card in our deck. When we have draws with Fallen Lightsaber, the game feels so easy. And when we have draws without it, it can be a lot tougher. I think Partisan Insurgent is one of those cards that has really, really impressed me as I've played more and more. Before I played 2 of, I played the full 3 of this time. Playing this on turn 1, you're always going to have a red unit on turn 2. And if you don't, then you've kept a bad hand and you needed a mulligan. Because all of our cards on turn 2 are red. And oftentimes we're playing a 2-drop and a 1-drop. So we will have something. And it's very difficult to kill off the Partisan Insurgent. Not to mention, even if they hit it, we can target down whatever they hit it with, so that it at least trades and we can remove some of their board. The Benthic 2 tubes ended up doing a lot of work. The Guaving Antagonizer is another 1-drop, ends up working out pretty well. The Ruthlessness, one of the most important parts about this card that a lot of people don't realize is the fact that you can attach it to vehicles. There's not a lot of upgrades that you can attach to vehicles comparatively. So, well, just keep that in mind. Overall, guys, what do I think about this list? This is a very explosive list. If you bring this to your local game store, you are going to make some enemies, because if they're not playing some of the meta decks, this can just absolutely run through a lot of decks. But if they are playing the meta decks, there's a reason why they are the meta decks. And this like super aggressive deck that we are playing can win. There are situations where you can go Fallen Lightsaber on 5th Brother, Fallen Lightsaber on Kylo and get there. But you do have to be careful because they will get wrecked by things like Boba Yellow. So just something to keep in mind. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, guys. We played a lot of games because they were pretty quick for the most part, but that's how Kylo Red plays the game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all for a video tomorrow.